What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to your stimulus package update and daily news report for Monday, October 4th. Now, we got a lot of stuff that we need to go over today, and it's because of what has happened last week. What we are seeing now is in 2 weeks, that is 2 weeks is from today, is going to be the X date. That is when our federal government runs out of money and will default on all their debts. Here's the problem. Last week, we were supposed to get rid, or pretty much vote on the $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill. It would have actually freed up Congress to stop worrying about that. That would have passed. We would have moved on. This is exactly what happened when we passed our government funding bill, okay, through December 3rd. When the House of Representatives passed that and the Senate passed that and President Biden signed the bill, okay, it freed up Congress to stop worrying about that. Let's worry about other things. Well, then they worried about the $1.2 trillion bill, the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill or stimulus package, right? And we saw further negotiations. The problem is last week, both of those things broke down. Nancy Pelosi promised moderates that she would have a vote. She would put the bill on the floor for a vote. But that never happened because progressives said, no, we will not vote for it, and you do not have the numbers. So she didn't put it on the floor. Now moderates are extremely upset. But here's what I can tell you. Right now, the reason why I bring this up is because if Congress doesn't address the debt ceiling issue, we're gonna see economic calamity, according to Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. But there's just 2 weeks. So now what we're hearing is, certain groups are still addressing and negotiating the infrastructure bills. Now the $1.2 trillion bill, that's done. That's been passed in the Senate. It's just waiting to be voted on in the House. But Nancy Pelosi will not bring it to the floor. The only bill that they're negotiating is the $3.5 trillion human infrastructure bill. That's soft infrastructure, a stimulus package, a social spending program. That's what we're hearing. Now, we know this bill is going to have to be cut down, potentially to about $1.5 to $2 trillion. I addressed this the other day. Now, the reason why the negotiations are going so slow at this time is because in 2 weeks, we will reach that X date, the debt ceiling. This means Congress must address this now. There's no more kicking the can down the road. Can't do it. Today, there could potentially be a vote in the Senate in order to suspend the debt ceiling until December 2022. This is just another tactic. However, the GOP has already vowed to vote this down. It's not going to pass. We also know that Nancy Pelosi, okay, she's given the House of Representatives until October 31st in order to pass the bipartisan infrastructure bill. Now, this is another one of her deadlines, and I told you this before. I told you this back, I think, in June or July. All we're going to see is delay after delay after delay. And according to reports, the reason why we see these delays is because of the upcoming midterm election in 2022. That's next year. So we're seeing delays because of what's happening next year, not the current situation. So I don't know how Congress thinks. For me, if I had let's say a credit card payment due today, or I had to pay a fee in 6 months, I would be a little more worried about the credit card that is due today than the fee that I have to pay in 6 months. It doesn't matter to me. Okay? It's all about the present, not the future. Who knows how they think? Now, here's what I can tell you. Right now, the White House, the House of Representatives, and the Senate all have to agree on how to negotiate this potentially $2.5, $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill. Okay? Because right now, nobody really has an answer. Reports this weekend do indicate, though, that all sides are open to negotiations. That, according to them, that means Senator Joe Manchin would potentially increase his offer, his top line number from 1.5 to something a little bit higher. But that's a negotiation. That's a negotiation tactic they're all using. So right now, the big negotiations that have already started have been on whether to cut programs entirely from the bill or simply decrease the amount of time the program runs. For instance, and this is something I brought up yesterday as well, but we're starting to get more reports on this. A few lawmakers hinted at the fact that the 4-year child tax credits, well, they're not going to happen. We will not see them happen in this Congress, but we could see them extended later on. Here's what they say. Instead of potentially seeing a 4-year child tax credit, either yes or no, how about we see a 1 or 2-year child tax credit, which is a guaranteed yes? Why don't we do that? The same could go for free community college, childcare, elder care, and other programs like that. But the thinking behind these, okay, just to give you an idea, the thinking behind these from Democrats is that passing the bill is going to be much easier. It's going to make it easier for future presidents and Congress to extend these programs if they're already included. The bad news would be there's, let's say, this child tax credit payments. They've been great for people with children. They've helped out. They've pulled children out of poverty. Awesome. The bad part would be if we stop this program now and we do not extend it even 1 or 2 years, because the chances of a future president or President Biden, whoever, right, and Congress extending these later on would be much more difficult outside of a pandemic. That's what we're hearing. So right now they're saying it would just be much easier to extend a program that's already currently in place than to try to bring it back after a 1 or 2 year hiatus. So we'll see. Some also believe that once Americans see how beneficial these programs are, they will most likely push to get them kept, as opposed to getting rid of them in just a few years. So we'll see if that's true. My guess is yes, it is. Because if you would have asked anybody in the United States, do you want a stimulus check? If you would have asked them a couple years ago, they would have been like, well, what's a stimulus check? I don't know what that is. Okay? But if you ask somebody now, would you like a stimulus check? They'd be like, well, yeah, I need a stimulus check. I need it to live. And it's true, a lot of Americans need a stimulus check to live. But again, this is just something that the American people now know about because of this pandemic. We had to stimulate the economy. We had to provide a way for the American people to put food on the table, keep a roof over their head, pay for the necessities and medications and things that they use on an everyday basis. So that's kind of the logic behind putting these programs into place, getting them into the bill, even if it's not for 10 years, maybe it's for 5 or 3 or 2 years. At least that way, it would shrink the size, the overall cost of the bill, but it wouldn't actually leave out certain programs. The only issue is if the program takes too long to implement and then it ends in a couple years, well, that could mean there's very little for it to actually do. So it doesn't have that big of an upside. So we'll see what happens there. But let's address the supply chain issues. Here's what we're hearing. Currently, many large retailers like Walmart, Target, Amazon, places like that, they have all started purchasing for the upcoming holiday season back in like June. They didn't wait until August, September to start making their purchases. This is one of the reasons why we're seeing so many ships parked outside, down the port in Los Angeles. Okay, according to reports, normally there's 0 to 1 ships waiting to get into port. Currently, there's about 73 ships just waiting to be unloaded. So we're starting to see all these products coming in. That's really good. Here's the issue. One of the supply chain issues is not the product itself. It's already been manufactured and shipped from whatever country, probably China. However, we do not have enough people working at the ports to offload all the ships and all the containers. We do not have enough truckers to transport the products across the country. And once it gets to the warehouse, we do not have enough employees to take those products and put them back onto the shelves. That's creating an issue, and this is what we're seeing these delays for. What we are hearing though, okay, and you're going to see these issues, If you plan on waiting until December to possibly do your holiday shopping, don't. You will be too late. What we are hearing is that you need to start your shopping by November, okay? If you haven't done it already, start buying stuff, but you need to be buying by November. If you don't, chances are you will not be getting exactly what you're looking for. The only problem that's currently happening right now is that millions of Americans, they don't have extra money to spend. Not today. They do not have money today to spend. That's an issue. This is why, according to economists, we could see two different economies. We could see one where people are stuck and can't afford their necessities, so chances are they're not going to go into more debt in order to buy gifts and presents for their loved ones. Yes, they would love to, but they just don't have the ability to do it. The other economy, the other side, is that millions of families, they have just been saving money for the past year. And so they're ready to splurge, right? And so that's what we're going to see is two different sides. Two different sides. Some are going to say, oh, this is going to be the best, Christmas ever. And others say this is going to be the worst Christmas ever. And that's the issue. And that's what lawmakers have to deal with is that right now, what side are you going to be on? They want everybody to be the exact same. They want everybody to have a great, holiday season. They want everybody to get back to work. They want everybody to have the same amount of money in their savings account. But that's not the way America works. That's not the way it's going to work. So right now we're going to see some flourish and some are going to absolutely suffer. The hard part is there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be suffering. Right now, this is one of the reasons why Democrats are pushing for an extension of the unemployment benefits. They say we need to put that $300 per week increase back on because that helped so many people. Unemployment benefits just don't pay enough. Others say that we need to extend unemployment benefits for long-term unemployed because those people have been negatively impacted. Their business most likely went under and now they're trying to find a new company to work for. And it takes a little bit of time just depending on what your position was in the past. We also know that pandemic unemployment assistance, that helped out millions of the self-employed gig workers, freelancers. These are people that, obviously run their own company. They drive for Uber or Lyft, right? These people have been negatively impacted because of this pandemic. And so Democrats say we need to address this issue. They also say unemployment benefits or unemployment has disproportionately affected Black, Hispanic, and Asian families. And we need to address this now before we see this gap, before we see the middle income, right? Before we see the middle class completely just go away. And then we have the upper and lower class and almost nothing in between. That's turning into a big issue. So we'll see what happens there, but there are many supply chain issues. Just understand, if you can and you are wanting to go and shop, you should probably do that a little bit early, or else we could see additional issues moving forward. COVID cases, we don't know what's going to happen. The expectation is vaccination rates are going to increase a little bit more. So it's essentially, we will see lower case counts or lower hospitalizations and hopefully lower deaths. But let's get into COVID news while we're talking about it. According to multiple sources, reaching a herd immunity of 80% is now seen as not enough. 80% is not enough. Remember back when this whole pandemic kind of started, Dr. Anthony Fauci said that he thought 70 to 75% herd immunity would get us there, get us out of this pandemic. Well, then it went up to 80%. That was what I was actually reporting on last week. Well, now multiple health experts anticipate it will need to be at least 85%. Some argue that even 90%. We have to be at 90% vaccinated. We will still see COVID hotspots though if we are not at 90%, and these will arise throughout the world. But here's the issue. Remember, 85 to 90% is across the entire world, not just in the United States. And that's what's creating an issue, and that's what's causing or making it where the White House is actually sending more vaccines across the different countries, because we have to get the entire world vaccinated, not just the United States. But here's what experts are telling us. Experts say that without getting the entire world vaccinated, we will see cases where one person traveling affects a small area, and that small area could easily spread into the nation. And as that nation, contracts COVID, tests positive, as more people travel outside that country, other countries would be affected as well. This is the reason why we have to pinpoint these hotspots, pretty much shut down all travel, and make sure everybody is vaccinated, at least according to experts. So we'll see what happens there, but as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share all the latest news and updates. Again, just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.